Mic check, mic check. 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 All right, shalom, shalom. All right, this the brother Mawam coming back with another, camp lesson. All right. Before I get started, I want to give all praises to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Harakak Badash. Double honors to the old apostles, great millstone, ruling, teach well, and honors and salutations to the men of the Lord doing the same, teaching the same. Okay. And Yahawah is the true name of who the world calls God. Okay. Yahawah in the Paleo Hebrew, it means He exists. Okay. And the true name of who the world falsely and ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, that's not His name. Okay, His true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahawashi. Okay, it means He's the Savior, He's the deliverer. Okay. All right, but I got a couple articles lined up. I'm gonna start off, with this article right here. Okay, it's called the Western Journal. Okay, this was published, 3 months ago. All right, but this is still relevant. Okay, but it's going into the persecution. It say of Christians. Okay, all right, people that's doing like street ministries and things like that. All right, but we know, even though this is starting in Britain. All right, in Great Britain, it's going to come over here. All right, it's going to those same laws and things like that will come over here to Babylon, the Great America. All right, and even though this article is talking about it has the word Christians and things like that, we know that Christianity is accepted by the whole world. Christianity is loved, by all these different races. All right, they have a following. They have billions of followers. All right, Christianity and Islam, they have the most followers. All right, the most believers, as I should say. Okay. So as I go into this article, we're going to connect the dots and show how, their persecution, all right, is really for, us men of the Lord, okay? Now, they're going to abandon the Bible completely and things like that, all right? But that persecution, is because we're the ones, that's bringing out this truth and exposing Esau being the wicked on the earth, the so-called white man, okay? And we're bringing out these prophecies, we're bringing out World War III is in the Bible and it will go nuclear and billions of people will die, okay? We're the ones bringing out these prophecies of the Bible, bringing out the true understanding of the Bible, okay? So I'm going to get into this article, all right? So Esau getting ready to come down with great wrath. All right, and that's why we tell you people. And let me get this precept. And we speaking to the sincere listeners. The sincere beginners in the faith. You want to get this truth while the getting is good because that famine of the word. Okay. Bear with me, let me get it. All right. That famine of the word is about to hit. All right. So this Amos 8:11. Amos 8:11. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahawah, that I will send a famine in the land, nor not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahawah. Okay, so that time period is this prophecy is closely coming to pass. All right, this prophecy it hasn't happened yet. It's in the near future. Okay, so the time period is coming to where you're not going to see us prophesying on the highways and hedges for too much longer. All right, prophecy is ramping up. Things is getting serious. Jacob's trouble is about to start. It's about to commence. All right. Esau is steady passing, laws every day. All right. To ultimately fulfill their new world order. Okay. So that the new world order doesn't include, these different religions. It don't include the Bible. All right, that's why they're banning the Bible and starting to, crack down on street preaching. Okay. So I do see videos of you got Christians, teaching that false religion. They're getting arrested too. All right, on standing on the sidewalk or whatever like that. All right. So this is the article right here. The title says the UK Christians in shock as government prepares law that could send preachers to prison. All right. And I ain't gonna read too much out of this. This just, this is a sign to come. All right. This is a sign to come, and we expect, we expect persecution. All right. So, we're not really experiencing no persecution right now. Yeah, we receive hatred, for speaking the truth. All right. And 2/3 of our people hate us, and you got the heathens, they hate us as well. All right. But that persecution is around the corner as well. Okay. So it says, the United Kingdom continues its descent, making a dystopian nightmare a reality. Okay, the BBC reported last week that Rushmore Borough Council in Hampshire, England, has proposed an injunction against Christian street preachers in the towns of Aldershot and it says Farnborough. Okay, and it won't let me read the rest of the article. Okay. All right, but we hit the point, and I'm gonna get some precepts. All right. So we already know all these different prophecies is coming. Us in this truth, we're waiting on it. All right. We understand we got to go through these things in order to get to the kingdom of heaven. All right. But Bahasham, Yahawashi, he's going to protect, his elect chosen few through the midst of all this chaos that's coming. All right. Like the Lord said, not one hair on your head is, going to be touched. All right. So this Revelation chapter 2 and 10. All right. I'm going to start at 9. Revelation chapter 2 and 9. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty. All right, but thou art rich, okay? And Bahasham Yahawashi is speaking to who? The elect, all right? That elect chosen few. That was, serving him in, sincerity and truth. In these last days, it says, but thou art rich, okay? It's talking about spiritually rich. All right, that's why scriptures say, store up your treasures in heaven. All right, Lord willing, I remember to get that precept, okay? So that's what we do now. We do that on this side, while we're still in this grace period and we got time to, get our lives right, not get your mind right with Bahasham Yahawashi before the Lord come back. All right, and before, Jacob's trouble start. Okay. All right, so there's Revelation, and I'm gonna get Sirach 5 and 7. Revelation 2. Back at 9, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Okay, and this is really speaking of wicked Israelites. All right, you know, like just speaking of wicked Israelites, like the nigga Alazar from Gorilla Hebrew. Okay, um, you know, guys like IUIC. All right, ISUPK. You know, they're a bunch of, you know, wicked Israelites at the end of the day. Okay, you know, they're teaching things which they are not. You know, they're teaching their doctrine that goes against the Bible. Okay, there's only one. There's only one truth. It's only, um, like the scripture says, no private interpretation of the scriptures. All right. So obviously, you know, these guys are going off, and it's going to show. All right, it's going to show. That's why you got all their you know, their movements or whatever, however you want to say it, is coming to desolation. Okay, the house which those guys have built is crumbling, is falling. Okay, only the tabernacle of the elect is going to what? It's going to stand no matter what beats on it. Okay, and that's why the scripture says, "Then shall it be known who are my chosen." All right, in Second Esdras. All right, because all this pressure that's about to be added, that's about to be put on, you know, the Hebrew Israelites and things like that, is going to show. It's going to show who was serious and who was not. All right, all the false prophets. All right, they just gonna fall by the wayside. You know, you're just gonna see them fade away. All right, they, you know, they're gonna crack under pressure. All right, you know, and months ago we had a brother. I forgot the video, but had a brother. He had a dream, you know, and he's in that dream. You know, some brothers may know what I'm talking about. He had a dream. Certain men that was supposed to be of the faith, supposed to be Hebrew Israelites and things like that, they ended up taking the mark of the beast. All right. So it says, which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. All right. So these false prophets, you know, that's out here claiming, you know, teaching our people that we're Hebrew Israelites and things like that, but they, you know, they going off on doctrine and things like that. The Lord is going to expose them and cast them down. All right. So it says, oh, let me get this precept before I forget, because, you know, this is right on point. Bear with me. All right. So this Isaiah 30 and 20. Isaiah 30 and 20. It says, And though the Lord, Bahasham, Yahawashi, give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers. Okay? So, this truth is not going to stop. All right? You know, beginning with the elder apostles, great millstone on down to the least of us. All right? You know, we're not going to get weak. We're not going to fall out the faith. We're going to continue until the famine of the word hits. Okay? But you're going to see what? False prophets and things like that. They're going to be removed into a corner. All right? Even before the famine of the word hits, these false prophets, they're going to be exposed. They're going to run out of gas. They're going to stop teaching, you know, and things like that. Or they just going to teach more and more off doctrine, okay? Things that totally don't make sense, okay? All right. So let's go back to Revelation. All right, Revelation 2 and 10. It says, Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. Talking about Esau, the so-called white man. All right. So it's already prophesied. You know, he is going to catch some of the elect members. All right. And put them to death for rejecting the mark of the beast, the RFID chip, and that Neuralink, and rejecting his New World Order. Okay. Like I said in previous videos. All right. If Esau can't brainwash you, all right, and get you to sell out and join, and submit and just accept their New World Order and take the mark of the beast. If Esau can't make you do that, he's just going to kill you. All right? So it says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, all right, which is not a literal 10 days, okay? Just, that represents just completion in a certain amount of time, all right? You might be locked up in one of these concentration camps probably 2 days, all right? And an angel Bahasham, Yahawashi break you out of there, okay? Or the Lord give you, spiritual power like Samson, to get out of that situation, and to flee. All right. So those going to be different witnesses and testimonies that the Lord is going to give those certain men spiritual power. All right. Basically, that's going to glorify Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi in His name. Okay. So only the men that call upon Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, and teaching 100% truth. All right, only those men are going to be able to taste that heavenly power. Okay, get those spiritual powers, able to heal the sick, heal the blind, the maimed, and things like that. Okay. All right. So it says, well, that's all I wanted. Or, matter of fact, I'm going to read 11. It says, he that hath an ear, all right, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death, okay? And that second death is those nuclear missiles, all right? So the two ways that the Lord is going to bring fire on the earth, okay, is those nuclear missiles, those ICBM missiles, okay? But before that, you're going to have the lasers, all right? The laser beams that's coming from the chariots, the so-called UFOs, which the people of the world call UFOs, all right, or spaceships, okay? Those are vehicles of the Lord and the angels, okay? So before those nuclear missiles are even shot off to come destroy this place, all right, you're going to have the angels in the chariots all throughout the earth just, killing people, destroying buildings, things like that, just like the movie Independence Day, okay? All right, but the only difference from the movie is the Lord and the angels are going to win, okay? In the movie Independence Day, it shows Esau winning, okay, and his military, all right? So that's all I wanted. So let's go back. So yeah, that second death is those ICBM missiles, nuclear missiles, all right, being shot throughout the earth in World War III, okay? That first death was the flood during Noah's time, okay? All right. So let's go back. This Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and 7. Okay. So it says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. All right. So that's why we warn you to take this truth serious. For the sincere listeners out there, okay. To basically hunker down and go harder for Bahasham Yahawashi. You know, pray more, study more. All right. Give yourself unto what? Watching videos more, etc., etc. All right. you know, like Scripture says, showing a pattern of good works. Okay. All right, and staying abstain, from this world. All right, because we don't got much time. Shit is heating up fast. All right, and you got the protesters, the anti-ICE protesters. You know, it's getting serious. Okay, they fighting and all type of shit. All right, so all these different things, a civil war, okay, a race war, and martial law. That's around the corner. That's in the near future. Okay, it's in the near future. So I want to get some more precepts proving that those laws that's being passed and talked about, they're really passing these laws to attack the true men of the Lord. Okay, and I'm gonna get a precept before make another point. So this Revelation, I'm gonna start at okay, I'm gonna start at 17. All right, so this Revelation chapter 12. I'm gonna get the last verse, and it says, matter of fact, I'm gonna start at 15. All right, Revelation 12 and 15. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman. All right, that woman represents what? The Israelites. Okay, represents the Israelites, the 12 tribes. But it's about to get specific. All right, the last verse is going to tell you, all right, who Esau is really focused on. All right, he's trying to attack the believers. Okay, those that actually know the Lord and serve Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Okay, and it's going to make that point. Okay, and that's why he been dealing with the anti-Semitism and Kyrie Irving and other prominent figures in this world. They've been getting what? Persecuted, losing their sponsors and money and all that shit. When they speak about who we are as a people and things like that. All right, that you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are God's chosen people, the 12 tribes. All right, and et cetera, et cetera. All right. So they use that as an intimidation tactic. All right, and it was a agenda. All right, it was propaganda. So they can go ahead and pass certain laws and shit like that, make moves. Okay, and justify themselves doing it. All right. So the scriptures expose this damn devil. So that's all Esau been doing. Been buying these guys out like IUIC. IUIC is sold out. Okay, they sold out. All right, they work for Esau. They never gonna just come out and admit it, but their actions and what they say and what they teach, it shows. Okay. All right. All the plane tickets and traveling here and there. All right. They sold out under that 501c3 tax write-off. All right. And that's why they're teaching off doctrine. All right. So it says that, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. Okay. So that flood represents what? It represents laws that they're gonna be passing. All right, because Esau, the so-called white man, he controls the media, the news, All right, they controls, mainstream media and things like that, and they can control any narrative. All right, and they have the technology to do so. Okay, like with AI, AI, they can um and some of these news be actually fake news. All right, and it be staged. Okay, like I remember years ago, um they was talking about this this so-called Hebrew Israelite, which the dude did not look like a Hebrew Israelite at all. All right, but they just kind of threw that on him, and they said he went into, I think they said, a Jewish synagogue or something, and was saying shit. That's fake. That's propaganda. Okay, those, you got to understand, the government be um like the elder Nakazakba, he did a video on a guy. It was this fat Jake, and he was saying how the um the FBI is um infiltrating and investigating you guys or whatever like that. They've been doing that. They did that with Malcolm X and all that shit there. You know, so don't be surprised that these guys like Al-Azhar from Guerrilla Hebrew, guys like that, they sold out. All right, they sold out. So it says, Revelation 12:16, and the earth helped the woman. All right, which is the Israelites. The woman represents the Israelites. But in these last verses, is really talking about the Hofi elect that's actually serving Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Okay, and the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. Okay, and the earth helped the woman by way of what? The internet, um, the books. All right, um, you got stones and things like that, like the what they call it, the Moabite stone. All right, with the Hebrew on there and the name of the Lord Yahawah. All right, so all this information about us really being the 12 tribes, the Israelites, is all by way of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Okay, and having using his prophets, beginning with the elder apostles, great millstone, down to the least of us. The Lord got his men finding these different books, and bringing them out, teaching. All right, these historical books proving that Native Americans are the Israelites. All right, Negroes coming over here on slave ship with Hebrew names and things like that, etc., etc. So all this evidence proves that we're the Israelites. All right, and proves that the true name of the Lord is of the Father and only begotten Son is Yahawah and Yahawashi. Okay, so that's how the earth helped the woman. All right, all type of information coming out coming out the woodworks, and it's backing up exactly everything we say. All right, to give it like with World War III. Okay, for decades upon decades. All right, the elder apostles of Great Millstone, they've been saying that World War III is going to go nuclear. It's going to go nuclear. Okay, Babylon the Great America is going to be destroyed by 200 million missiles. Okay, all right, and the land of Israel as well going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles. All right, we've been saying, and according to the Bible, coming straight out of the Bible. All right, these nations are going to team up against these two nations. All right, and you're watching it all. You're watching it all manifest before your eyes. Okay, so now you got so much. You got articles out the ass. All right, and people love to discredit. Okay, people always say that's fake news. That's fake news. That's fake news. You know. That's these people love darkness rather than light, and they truly believe that their World War III will not go nuclear. All right, and you got the men of the Lord telling you it's going to go nuclear. It's written in the Bible. All right, okay, but they're gonna, 2/3 of our people, they're gonna continue to not believe. None of these, they're not going to take heed to the warnings. All right? We're sending out the warnings. They're not going to take heed. And that's why they're going to get caught out here, all right, down bad. You know, when all hell break loose, when the power go out, when the food and water runs dry, all right, you know, when the gas prices spike up and shit really gets serious, then they're going to try to run to the prophets. But it's going to be too late. Okay? It says, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yahawah and have the testimony of Yahawashi HaMashiach. Okay? You know, so we understand that, you know, Esau, he's doing all this is really for the Hebrew Israelites. Okay? You know, so, because the Hebrew Israelites, we the main ones that be street preaching, all right? Going on the highways and hedges in the chief place of concourse and teaching the Bible, all right? You know, Christianity is accepted by the world, you know? So when they put that term on there, you know, Christians are being persecuted for, you know, teaching the Bible and things like that. These type of laws is really being passed for the true men of the Lord that's actually speaking the truth and not just speaking some, you know, some plantation Christianity. All right? As a matter of fact, I'm going to get this precept. Bear with me. So there's Luke chapter 14 and 16. All right, Luke chapter 14 and 16. And it says, all right, because here you're going to see the Lord commanded us, so this is how we're supposed to teach. All right? The Lord told us to go out on, you know, downtown, all right, on the highways and hedges, okay, you know, in chief place of concourse. So the Lord told us to go teach in areas where, you know, a lot of people meet up at and things like that. That way, you know, people from what Israelites from all walks of life can hear the truth. Okay? All right? So the Lord never told us just, you know, because you got scoffers, they talk about why you don't go teach in the hood. All right? The Lord didn't tell us to go teach in the hood. All right? And then, you know, you have had brothers that came before, you know, me, all right, and a lot of us, they went and taught in the hood, okay? You know, so, and it didn't get nowhere, all right? But those same Jakes from the hood, you know, they be downtown, okay? They be in chief place of concourse, you know, whether they trying to have fun, you know, or go out to party, to clubs or whatever, all right? You know, and I'm going to say this, if you have the elect, you're going to hear this truth, okay? You're going to hear this truth, all right? You can't, it's impossible for a person that's of the elect, that's meant to hear the truth, it's impossible for them to not get it. They're going to get it, all right, in the time that is meant for them to get it, okay? So this Luke 14 and 16, all right? And I said that because a lot of people, they lack faith. They truly be doubting, whether consciously or unconsciously, they be doubting the power of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. All right? You know? Like the scripture says, my sheep hear my voice. You know? So it don't matter if, you know, you'll have a brother teaching at a park, and the Lord will make it to where an elect member, all right, a hopefully elect member, they end up going to that park, you know, and they see, you know, a brother or those brothers teaching, and they go over there to hear him out, and they eventually, you know, they start believing, okay? All right. So this Luke 14 and 16. It says, then said he unto him, a certain man made a great supper and bade many. Okay, and this great supper, all right, um, this marriage that's about to happen, all right, it hasn't happened yet, all right, but this is this is a parable, all right, of what, of when the bridegroom Yahawashi meets his bride, the elect, okay, but the servants, the prophets, we're out there what, bidding the elect to the marriage, okay, all right. So that's why this truth is very, it's really the most important job on this earth. All right, because your job is to wake up the elect chosen few. Okay, to non-stop push out this truth. Okay, and bring forth edification for the elect's sake. All right, so it says, and sent his servant at supper time to say to them that were bidden, come, for all the things are now ready. And they all with one consent began to make excuse. The first said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground, and I must needs go and see it. I pray thee have me excused. And another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray thee have me excused. All right, so these are people that have it's a parable, but these are people that what, that take breaks off, that go on vacation, all right, take their hand off the plow, all right. These are people that stop teaching, all right, to do whatever, to go back into the world, whether they stop teaching for a job, money, all right, or family or whatever, okay. So, and that's why the scriptures say things written aforetime was written for our learning. All right. So the same way you had guys back then in the ancient times doing that, you got the same shit now. Okay. You got guys falling out the truth left and right. Dropping like flies. Okay. And they coming with different excuses. Okay. They coming with different excuses. All right. So, and like that dude Bahasham, he's on the hot seat. All right, he's being used as an example of what not to be like. Okay. So it says Luke 14, all right, and 20. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. So that servant came and shewed his lord these things. Then the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant, go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in hither the poor and the maimed and the halt and the blind. Okay, which that represents the elect. All right, that represents the hopeful elect that's gonna what, believe on the truth and come into this truth. All right. So it says, verse 22. And the servant said, Lord, it is done as thou hast commanded, and yet there is room. All right. But I also wanted to point out how it says, then the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant. All right. So the Lord is angry with men, all right, that stop teaching. All right. You men that stop teaching, stop edifying the sheep, the lambs, to go back into the world, okay, for whatever excuse, okay, the Lord is extremely angry with you, all right, and that's why something terrible always happens to them, okay. All right, so it says, verse 23, and the Lord said unto his servant, go out into the highways and hedges and compel them to come in, that my house may be full. All right. For I say unto you that none of those men which were bidden shall taste of my supper. All right. So those of you that was bitten to this truth and you reject this truth, or you come in and then you fall back out the truth, you go back into the world. All right. Guess what? The Lord is not going to deliver you. The Lord is not going to save you. All right. You're not getting on those chariots. All right. Point. That's over with. Okay. Once you take your hand off the plow, once you stop teaching, all right, and you go back into the world and things like that, you just forfeited. You just forfeited your chance of salvation. All right. You wasted your grace period, the time you had, all right, to do all you can, all right, spiritually speaking, for Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, all right, to be able to, for the Lord to deliver you, all right. So it says, and there went great multitudes with him, and he turned and said unto them, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. Okay? And that hate right here just goes into love and less. All right? So you don't put nothing above Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. And this truth, this doctrine, this ministry. Okay? That's what they're saying. Okay? All right. So, are your biological family members, that don't believe in this truth, that don't believe in the Lord and Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, all right? You put them on the back burner. Okay. All right. Our first priority is Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Okay, this truth. All right. So your biological family, they come last, all right. And then the Lord is not even going to save them if you don't believe in Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, all right. The Lord is not going to save you if you don't believe it, all right. So the only ones that can be saved off the coattail of an elect man is what? The wife of the elect man. All right, the children of the elect man. All right, and that's if they doing what they're supposed to do. So it says, and whosoever doth not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. All right. So it says, for which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it. All right. So you're supposed to understand what you're getting yourself into. All right. That's why before you even, come into this truth, we tell you, hey, you're going to be hated by the world. All right. Prepare yourself for temptation. All right. Your biological family members, they're going to start to hate you and separate you from their company. All right. Why? Because you don't eat abominable foods. All right. You stop eating those foods which the Lord told us not to be eaten. Okay. You stop celebrating these pagan holidays. All right. You stop going into this, this Christian church. So therefore, your biological family members, they're going to start hating you. Okay. Because why? You different. You're new. You became a new creature. All right. And you're renewed, in the spirit of your mind. All right. Through the spirit and power of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. All right. So it says, least happily after he have laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. All right. And that's what's going on with Bahasham. All right. That's what's going on with Elazar. All right. They're being mocked. They're being mocked, rightfully so. Okay. Especially Bahasham. All right. Because before he left the truth and was bugged out and shit, he was actually teaching the truth. All right, he was privy to all this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You know, he sat at the Lord's table, spiritually speaking. And he ate the different delicacies. All right, which that represents the different breakdowns of the Bible. All right, just the 100% truth. Okay. So it says, let me get the next precept. So this 1 Timothy 4:10, and I'm gonna get the other articles too. I just want to speak on this topic right quick. All right. So this 1 Timothy 4:10. It says, "For therefore we both labor and suffer reproach, because we trust in the living power, Bahasham Yahawashi, who is the Savior of all men," the Israelite men, okay? "Especially of those that believe," okay? Because the elect, the remnant, is going to be saved on this side, okay? 2/3 of our people, they're going to be destroyed on this side and be born back into the kingdom through sex. All right, being fruitful and multiply. Okay. All right. Hence, that proves reincarnation, regeneration. All right. So it says, these things command and teach. All right. 1 Timothy 4:12. "Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word and conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity. Till I come, give attendance to reading and to exhortation, to doctrine." All right, and that's exactly what we do. All right, day in and day out. All right, we pushing out this truth. We magnifying the names of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, pushing out this doctrine, this gospel, okay? And, studying and things like that. All right? So it says, neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy with the laying on of the hands of the presbytery. All right? Which that's your elders, okay? So that's how we all learned this truth. All right, by men that came before us, and by the elder apostles of Great Millstone and the men that came before them. All right, so the men that taught them. Okay. So it says, all right. So the Lord sets up prophets, all right, men on the earth, whom He endows them with the Holy Spirit, all right, to what? To understand the Bible, all right, and have the 100% truth and be able to teach it, okay? So it says, meditate upon these things, give thyself wholly to them, that thy profiting may appear to all. Take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine, continue in them, for in doing this thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee. Okay? And this doctrine that we preach is a doctrine of life. Okay? Alright, so you're to hold on tight, hold on fast to this doctrine. Alright? And don't be like those that, those that have fallen out the truth. Okay? And there's going to be more, okay? But that's not going to shake our faith or anything like that. We understand there's prophecy. All right? And we don't feel sorry for guys that, men, women, or children that leave the truth. We don't feel sorry for them. Okay? All right? And probably after this precept, I'm going to get the articles on World War III. Okay? World War III update. All right. You know, because you got Trump. He's being pressured, and they started asking him about those Iranian nuclear facilities that he brags about, saying that they hit all three and destroyed them. Okay. But the word is getting out. You know, the truth of the matter is getting out that they only destroyed one nuclear facility. All right, and you know, Iran was able to get most of his equipment out the way anyway. Okay. All right, and that's just more wood for the fire. All right, what Babylon the Great America did, you know, by sending missile strikes to Iran, that just put more wood in the fire. Okay. All right, and you got all type of warnings coming from Russia, Iran, you know, and North Korea. Okay, so shit is really heating up. All right, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. All right, it's going to get worse. So this 1 Corinthians 1:17, it says, "For Hamashiach Yahawashi sent me not to baptize." This Apostle Paul speaking. "For Hamashiach Yahawashi sent me not to baptize, but to preach the gospel, not with wisdom of words, lest the cross of Yahawashi Hamashiach should be made of none effect." All right. "For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us we which are saved it is the power of Bahasham Yahawashi." Okay. So that alone proves that most of our people is not going to receive this truth. All right, you know, that's why we don't sweat it. Whether they hear or forbear, we don't, you know, hey, we don't care. All right, our job is to teach this truth. All right, push out this 100% truth. The elect is going to get it. All right, the Lord is going to seal up that spiritual ark, going to close the doors on that spiritual ark, and that's it. And then all hell is going to break loose. All right, society is going to collapse. There's going to be bloodshed on the streets. Okay, and all that is going to be total anarchy. All right. So the Lord is bringing Babylon the Great America down before your eyes. Okay, the Lord is you know, destroying the economy. All right. You know, the infrastructure and all that of this place. Okay. So it says, for the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved it is the power of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. All right, because without faith it's impossible to please Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Okay, so you, in order to please Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, you got to believe in them. All right, you got to believe in their names. You got to believe that they exist. All right, and that the Lord is going to do everything He said He was going to do. Okay, you got to believe it. All right. So it says, verse 19, "For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent." Okay, and that's exactly what the Lord is doing. All right, the Lord is destroying, taking away the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from Esau, the so-called white man. Okay, and that's why they're making a bunch of dumbass decisions. Okay, and it's not just dumb people on the lower level. All right, you everyday citizens and things like that. The Lord is even taking away the little common sense that you people have. The Lord is taking that away. Okay, and I'm gonna get this in the NIV. The scripture says what? "Because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." Okay? So those of you that's outside this truth, all right, the Lord is going to what? Take that spirit of love, all right? He's going to take it off of you, all right? And that's why, these people, they don't know how to treat each other, all right? They killing each other just for, if you staring at the next person for longer than 1 second, they're killing each other over shit like that, okay? Over fireworks. I remember years ago they had like some a toilet paper shortage. They had a toilet paper shortage, and you had people getting killed over toilet paper. Another incident, them chicken sandwiches. All right, the chicken sandwiches from Popeyes and shit like that. You had people getting killed over chicken sandwiches. All right, so that show you we're in the last days. All right. The little morals that these people have left, the Lord is taking it away from them. All right, and that they're cold. Now everybody is cold-hearted, and they fuck over each other every single day. All right. But Yahawah Bahasham, Yahawashi, he's gonna protect his hopeful elect. Okay, and his hopeful elect, they're gonna have what? A sound mind. Okay. Bear with me. I think it was a precept I wanted to get. Lord willing to come back to me. Oh yeah, it just came back, Salaki. Alright. I'm gonna get Matthew 24 in the NIV. Bear with me. Alright, so this is Matthew chapter 24. And first I'm gonna get it in the KJV, Salaki. I'm gonna get it in the KJV first. Alright. So this is Matthew 24 and 12. Matthew 24 and 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Alright, so let's get it in the NIV. Alright, Matthew 24 and 12 in NIV. It says, because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. Alright, so that's in the NIV of Matthew 24 and 12. Alright, I'm going to read it one more time. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. Alright? And that's exactly what you see out in the world today. Okay? Alright, so that's why you have an increase in domestic violence, okay? And all sorts of crime. It's an increase being going on. Okay? So these people are losing their mind. Alright? And let me get this precept. Alright. This Second Ezra chapter 16. And I'm gonna start it. I'm gonna get straight to it. I'm gonna just get 21. Second Ezra 16 and 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Alright? Alright? So evils is going to continue to grow on the earth. Okay? And when you have these lacks of resources and comforts, alright, and that give people stability, alright, when all this shit is taken away, these people are going to turn into animals. Alright? So they've been warning in the news, blackouts coming, cyber attacks. Alright, so hey, all these different warnings that's going out, you can't say you wasn't warned. the elect, the hopeful elect, they're going to take it serious. All right, they're going to take it serious, and they're going to move accordingly through the spirit and power of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. So, matter of fact, I'm going to get some articles, kind of switch gears, get some articles right quick. All right, so this is dealing with World War III. It says, this is by Fox News on MSN.com. It says, Russia threatens West with preemptive strikes as NATO looks to deliver Patriots as quickly as possible. All right. So more and more attention. All right. And it says, top security official and former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, said Moscow should consider launching preemptive strikes against the West as the U.S. and its NATO allies ratchet up defensive support for Ukraine. All right. So Dmitry Medvedev, okay, he's basically saying that, he thinks that Russia, all right, his country should strike first, because they're getting all type of warnings from, Trump and NATO that, hey, they're thinking about. I seen another article, but I'll just quote it. I ain't gonna go to it. The U.S. is thinking about, striking Russia's nuclear facilities. Okay. So that's very that's a gamble. That's a gamble. That's a bet that the U.S. is going to lose. They're prophesied to lose. All right. So every decision that Babylon the Great, America make is going to what? Put them in the negative zone. All right. It's going to hurt them. All right. It's going to hurt them. It's not going to help them. Okay. So it says the statements of Western politicians on this topic are complete nonsense. Medvedev quote. This is a quote from Medvedev. It says, Deputy Chair of Russia's Security Council said in an interview with state media outlet TASS, according to Reuters reporting, we need to act accordingly to respond in full and, if necessary, launch preemptive strikes, he added. And I'm going to pretty much stop there. Okay, so that just shows you that tensions are high. All right? Okay, tensions are high. So let me get this precept. All right, so this Isaiah chapter 13. Isaiah chapter 13 and 4. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together, the Lord Yahawah of hosts, muster of the hosts of the battle. All right? And I'm going to get it in the NLT too. So the Lord is causing these nations to fight one another. Okay? Okay? And that's something else that Christians don't understand. All right? They don't understand, because you might have certain, because I have heard certain Christians, they talk about Armageddon and things like that, but you can still tell they don't even really know, they don't understand what that means or what comes with that, okay? And they don't understand that that's the will of the Lord, all right? The battle of Armageddon, the Lord is causing World War III, okay? Armageddon means the mountain of the troops, okay? And Yahawashi, or what the world knows as Jehoshaphat, okay? It's the valley of decision, okay? But it's talking about the same thing, World War III. So it says, and Lord willing, the audio good too. I ain't gonna be much longer. So it says, Isaiah 13:4 in the NLT. Hear the noise of the mountains. Listen as the vast armies march. It is the noise and shouting of many nations. The Lord of heaven's armies has called this army together. All right, which they obviously going off a little bit, and that's what these translations do. All right, they go off sometimes. Okay, sometimes it's edifying and beneficial to go into the different translations, but sometimes they go off. They translate. Okay, so Isaiah 13:5, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Okay, so that's talking about those nuclear missiles. All right, those ICBM missiles. Okay, intercontinental ballistic missiles. All right, so it says, verse 6, How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Okay, so the Lord is bringing this destruction. All right, and that's what we warn you, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All right. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna end it on the mark of the beast. All right. All right. So this Revelation 13, and I'm gonna start at 15. Okay. So we see. All right, we see World War III escalating, getting more serious. Okay, but before World War III go nuclear, the mark of the beast, the RFID chip, and the Neuralink, it has to be made mandatory. All right. So the time period is coming. The days are coming where people are going to be forced to take the mark of the beast. Okay. And if you don't, you're going to be thrown in these concentration camps, all right? And you're going to be, tortured and killed, okay? for not taking the mark of the beast, all right? And for rejecting this new world order, all right, that's coming, all right? So it says, Revelation 13:15. And it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Okay? And the image of the beast is talking about his new world order. All right? So just everything, I broke it down before reading it. Okay? So verse 16. And he caused them all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right, so it's talking about the RFID chip and the Neuralink. Okay, so if you take it, it don't matter if you take it and you somehow you run into somebody that's able to take the RFID chip out of your hand. Hey, you're still going to be destroyed. All right. The scriptures tell you, thou shalt not tempt the Lord. That's tempting the Lord. All right, and that's complete madness. Okay. So for you people that had it in mind, all right, because Jake think they clever. All right, they think they clever. They be like, what if you take it and then take it out your hand? The Lord is still going to kill you. All right. So it says, verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Okay? So those of us that don't take the mark of the beast, all right, we're going to be off the grid. Okay? We're going to be off the grid. All right, you're not going to be able to buy, to go to the store, to get gas, to use a phone, to use Wi-Fi, or whatever, to use your car. The time is coming to where if you don't have the mark of the beast, you're not going to be able to be in society. Okay, you're going to be treated like a terrorist, for not taking the mark of the beast. Are you going to be treated like a criminal for not taking the mark of the beast? Okay, and they're going to be hunting people down. Okay, that hasn't taken the mark of the beast. They're going to be hunting you down. Okay, and they showed it in movies like I think there's Amerigeddon. All right, Amerigeddon, and the other one damn, I forgot the name of it. Amerigeddon. It's another one. I gotta watch. They're kind of old, but I gotta watch them over again. But they show you in these movies what they're going to do in the near future. Okay. All right. So it says, verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 636. All right, 666. All right, so this is Revelation 14. All right, this is Revelation 14, and I'm gonna start at 9. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start at 8. Okay, so now Revelation 14 is going to tell you the judgment, the punishment for taking. It's going to tell you the punishment that the Lord is going to put on those you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that have taken the mark of the beast, or that's going to take it in the near future. All right, because the mark of the beast and its system is already here. All right, but it's not put on the forefront. All right. It's not made mandatory yet. But you have people walking around with the RFID chip in their hand already. Okay, you have people walking around with the Neuralink technology in their brain already. Okay, but those are just basically like guinea pigs. Okay, those are just test runs and things like that. All right, they put them in a handful of people. All right, that's the precursor to what's to come. Okay, now eventually, they're gonna try to force and make all humanity take the mark of the beast. Okay, that's that our temptation. Okay, so Revelation 14 and 8, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. All right, and one of those wines of Babylon the Great Americas is beguiling, tricking people into taking the mark of the beast. Okay. Because they're gonna make it seem like it's a blessing, okay? And I just, before coming to camp, I just watched the movie Our Robot, okay? It made me think about the AI robots and the AI technology, okay, and things like that, and how in the movie they was trying to paint the picture as if these things are good for you. Okay, putting cameras everywhere, and things like that, the electric cars and all that. They try to paint the picture that this is good for you, but really, they're gonna have more control, or your government is gonna have even more control over you, if you take the mark of the beast. Okay. All right. And I seen a video I think it was in North Dakota. I believe it was in North Dakota. But it's on the brother page. Jeremiah, servant of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi is on this page. But it over there, I think it was in North or South Dakota. But they had they had the store where you had to pay to get in. All right, so everything they setting the stage for this beast system. All right, everything is going digital. All right, they're doing away with the dollar. They're doing away with cash. Okay, so this beast system, is there. It's all set up before your eyes, but only the elect can see it coming and see it, manifesting. So it says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahawah, Yahawashi, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and with brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Right? All right. So that's the punishment for taking the mark of the beast. All right. And you heard it here first. Beginning with the elder apostles, great millstone, on down to the least of us. All right. So those of you that's going to ignore the prophets, all right, ignore all this prophesying we've been doing for years. Those of you that's going to ignore us and still take the mark of the beast, all right, you're going to listen to these false prophets that's going to tell you to take the mark of the beast, the RFID chip and the Neuralink. All right, you're going to look forward to being killed by the chariots. All right, being killed by the so-called UFOs. All right, which are chariots in the Bible. All right, the vehicles of the Lord and the angels. And not only that, those of you that survive that, you're going to die to those nuclear missiles. All right. So the people that's meant to survive Jacob's trouble, that's not of the elect, you're just surviving Jacob's trouble, just to die to the chariots, all right, to die to the so-called UFOs, all right. And those of you that survive that, you just meant to die to nuclear missiles, all right. So the Lord has prescribed, particular deaths for the non-elect, all right, for 2/3 of our people. Okay, like the movie, The Knowing. Okay, his name I know his name, but I can't think of it right now. But in the movie, at the end of the movie The Knowing, his son was saved, but he died. All right, he died with the rest of the family. All right. The angels in their chariot, the wheel within the middle of a wheel, that represents the elect being taken away from the earth before the nuclear missiles hit. Okay? But what? The dad, he had to go back, with the rest of the family, and they died in that fire. Okay? So I say that to say this, just because you have 2/3 that may survive all the way up to the end, that you was just meant to die to those nuclear missiles. All right, everything is predestinated. Okay, so Lord willing, that was edifying. Want to end it and give all praises to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Harakakadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone, willing to teach well, and honors and salutations to the men of the Lord doing the same teaching, saying.